What happens when one musical note meets another? When one stone meets another stone? When a brush hits a canvas? When threads are carefully woven together, strand by strand, to create a tapestry? The hands of the artist contain infinite possibilities. Each piece has divine fit, a purpose essential to the whole, creating a masterpiece that resonates across time and space. When all the pieces fit together. Single threads become intricate textiles. Tiny stones become magnificent structures. Simple notes become grand symphonies. Each piece authentic in its design. Reveals a bigger story. One greater than we could ever imagine. A story of goodness. A story of strength. A story of grace. A legacy.
Hi, I am Anarita, and I am Italian, and I am a teacher and a screenwriter. I am from Caserta, but I live in Rome, and Rome is an amazing city. I love it so much. Rome is, I think, my place in the world. Rome was really an international city, a place where people coming from all over the country and from all over Europe come here and just meet. And I like this so much because I like to meet people. I am an Italian, and as all Italians, I like to meet people. An Italian is, I believe, someone who is joyful for the most time. Sometimes we are sad, but just a little bit. We don't like to be sad. We like positive feelings. We like positive thoughts. We like good food and the company of good people. We live in a country which is rich of history, and this influences the way we feel, the way we approach to reality. So everything is history-based. Each corner of this country is made of an old place which once had a life inside of it. And it's amazing to see how this impacts the way you feel and you discover the reality. I have been raised up into the tradition, and even religion is a tradition. Italy is a Catholic country, and given that it's a Catholic country, it means that you are educated into Catholicism. And I come from the South, so in the South, the traditions are very strong. So I entered a relationship, an emotional relationship with a guy who was not the guy for me, but he was exactly what gave me like a safe place compared to what I had lived for all of my life. During that relationship, I felt like I was not enough. I was not loved enough. There was always something missing in me. So I started to feel like, what's wrong with me? Maybe I have something that is not fine. Maybe I'm not enough. Maybe I started to have to wonder about my body. Am I okay? And about my behaviors, about everything. It was just that I was broken inside. I felt like I do not deserve to be loved anymore. And I felt like God is not with me. If there is a God, no God will allow to his daughter to feel this kind of pain. When you are in that place, you are like you are in hell even if you are still alive. Your mind is not thinking about your future. Your mind is thinking about your present. The only feeling you feel inside of you is that I want to die, and if there is a God, please make this life come to an end, because this is too much for me. I felt so broken for 1 year. You can say 1 year is just 12 months long. For someone who is in that condition, 1 year is the eternity, because every moment that you breathe, you feel pain. And imagine how many moments you breathe in 1 year. I was teaching to an American who was my neighbor. And she said, Anarita, what's going on in your life? I see you very different from a few months before. So what happened? I told her her story and what was going on. And she said, Anarita, I would like to invite you to the church, and I would like to show you different people, and maybe you can find friends. I said, okay, I will come. This woman with 6 children took a night out to invite me for a dinner and to talk to me about God and the fact that God had a purpose over my life. I went to the church for the first time, and I felt, from a Catholic point of view, I felt like this is a circus. Because in the Catholic Church, you are educated to stay silent, stand up when you are asked to, sit down when you need to, and just say the prayer when you are allowed to. So everything you do is because someone else allowed you to do. I felt like, okay, there is something positive into this place, but I am so broken to receive it. This is not for me. I felt like this is not for me. Christine Kane started to speak that night. She talked to us about the miracle of the multiplication of the loaves and fish. And she said, broken people feed the multitudes. I felt like that was my calling. My life had a purpose. It was not true that my life was useless and I could do anything. Immediately I felt like a sense of peace after 1 year that I was so broken. I felt the peace and I got saved in that moment. For 1 year, everything was stuck. Since that night, I said, Lord, I want to follow you. Please take care of my healing. It will be a long journey. I will do this with you. I still had no friends, but I had the Lord. There's a huge difference. We made a prayer at the church. I asked to Pastor John and Pastor Mariana to pray for my house and to pray for my job. In 1 week, and I am not joking, in 1 week, I found a house with 3 roommates that now have become my best friends. And I have been teaching in Rome, and it was impossible, for 1 year without stopping. I always say to myself, I am not teaching, I am preaching in this moment. So even if I do not bring them to the church because I cannot, but I try to bring the church to them. I hope that this church can do with many people what they did for me. They gave me an opportunity to believe that I was more than enough, that I was loved, that I was welcomed, and that I could be a daughter of the Lord.
My name's Kyle Collinsworth, and I'm from Round Rock, Texas, actually. And I've been working in the entertainment business for almost 30 years now. I moved to LA back in like 1985. And the reason I moved out there is because I was working in the real estate business in Round Rock, and everybody said, you need to get out of here, you need a vacation. My girlfriend and I at the time went out to have a little vacation, stay with some friends of ours, and they just happened to be in the entertainment business. And he goes, while you're out here, you need to audition for this show. And I was like, I'm not auditioning for this show. I don't do that. I'm a business person. He's like, no. So they basically conned me into auditioning for a show called Miami Vice. and it was a stunt show that Universal put together and all that. And I went to one audition, and then I got called back from another audition. Apparently, they thought that I had the skills and the teachability, if you will, to actually work in that business. I turned it down because my mind immediately went, oh, no way, man, I can't do this. I'm not good enough to do this. And I immediately told our coordinator that I said, I can't do this. I have too many obligations in Texas. I got to go home. And on that plane ride home, I was just sick. Something was just eating me up. It was like, what'd you just do, saying no to that? I had to get on a payphone when I got off the plane at the Austin airport, put a quarter in there, and call the coordinator back and say, what is it going to take for me to get back on that? Because no matter how afraid I was, I had to do that. I could not quit it, and I could not give it up. And that's kind of what I've done from there on out. Most of the progression was just from being a character every single day at Universal to actually putting all this stuff together for big, huge, massive movies. Once I started working on major features, then it got a little more real. It can be very rewarding, but to me, it was only really rewarding in a really worldly way. Even though I'd gone to church my whole life and all that, every aspect of my life at that time was chaotic. I had no idea what I was going to do next, and everything was just completely up in the air. Because it's a business that a lot of people want to be in, but they don't know how hard it is to be in it, and really the sacrifices that you make to be in the business, because it takes so much dedication, and it creates that survivor mentality, if you will. You're stuck to it pretty much, because as soon as you finish your shop, you're like, well, I got to go get another job or something to, close the gap. And then you're in an environment that's totally different than the way that you live. And it conflicts hard. No matter how much you study or anything else. And it takes so much time to do these projects that you stop thinking about anything else. That's why it has a tendency to really ruin families. But after a while, I stepped away and just really started taking a look at a lot of these things. I prayed really hard about projects like I'd never done before. I asked God to show me what his vision of my life was supposed to be, not what my vision of my life was supposed to be. And I started praying really hard about, okay, if you don't want me in this business, show me what I'm supposed to do. I'll do whatever it is. It doesn't matter anymore. If you want me to do a show, then a show would come up. And I'm like, all right, this thing came up. What do you want me to do with it? And he didn't turn this off, this last show. So there I was, packing my stuff to go to Atlanta for 4 months for another $200 million feature. And I've never been so nervous in my life. I'm like, why am I doing this? I seriously didn't know why I was there doing a show other than to get paid. But I knew there was a reason that I couldn't see yet. And I was looking for that. And I got it. One of the guys at work that I didn't know very well is one of our tech guys. He came up and he walks right up to me, and this is somebody I haven't talked to, but very little, and says, I need to tell you something. And he said, I have to let you know that I lost my dad and my brother. Four months ago, unexpectedly. And it ruined him and his family's life. Ruined it. The way they handled everything was handled was really bad. Anyway, he tells me all these things, and I said, I will send you some of these things that I read and some of the things that I listen to every day, which is these devotional things that I have on my phone that I always listen to in the car. I sent them to him, and he thanked me a few times, but then I don't see him for another month or so, I guess. And this guy comes up to me a month later out of the blue again, and I'm coming off the set, and he comes up and he gives me the biggest hug that I could ever get from somebody. And he said, I wanted you to know that what you told me and all those things and all the Bible verses and all those things that you sent me changed me and my family's life. Once he said that to me, it helped me understand that the reason that I was doing that show were for those moments. And I'd never seen that before. And then I was like, okay, now I know why I can still work in this business and still have some impact. I want people to be able to go, you know what, I can do that too. Even though I think I can't do it, God has a plan specifically for me, and I can do whatever this is.
My name is Armenia Jacinto Monjan. I'm born at Chibut, in a small, not city, but it's in the bush area. The life, it was so difficult because to survive, my parents, they were supposed to cut the woods and go sell the woods so that we can have a food. So it wasn't so easy, so yeah, it's been a difficult life. I had this friend from Maputo. He'd been working at the airport. He invited me to be a part of the business that he'd been doing. So I started being part of that, helping him. Yeah, I've been selling like wooden crafts, like bowls, animals, like African map. All my life, my focus was all in the business. It was all in the shops. I wasn't seeing other things outside for the business. Like my world was only business. My routines was come back late home and go to the business and stay long. And I've been selling, I've been getting a lot of money, rents, dollars, put in the pocket, but I was feel myself empty. This friend, so when he came to Sheshai, and this guy stopped the car and he introduced me to Pastor Mel. I said, hey, Pastor Mel, I want to introduce you my best friend from Mozambique. So Pastor Mel, he looked at me and he asked, hey, this is Armenia, do you know Jesus? I said, no. He said, you gone to the church? I said, no. And he said, can you come to my house tomorrow? And I walked to his house and we talked and he shared a little bit more about Jesus. And I received him on that day as the Lord and my Savior. So he invited me like, hey, I want to start the church. So I want to invite you to be a part of that. This for the services. If you like, you can continue. If you don't like, it's up to you. It was a very difficult experience for me to be in church. And I felt myself convicted on that day. And I started crying at the same time because I felt myself in a different world than the world that I've been, you know. Something different in my life. It was happening on that day, on the time for the praise and worship. And Pastor Mel, he came in, he prayed for me. And I asked this prayer, like, I want to Jesus continue work on my life because I want to get to know him more and more and more. And I felt myself this calling. I told Pastor Mel, like, you know, I felt like God's asking me to do more. I know I've been in different world on business. I never spent time in different things. I always feel joy, not being business, but be serving God, be in the community, helping to share Jesus and to pray for the people. And from there, I told Pastor Mel, like, I felt like God's called me for something big. So that is what actually that they moved me 100% away from the business on that time. So it's why he sent me after 2011 to the Bible school. And so after school, I was coming to the church and helping with the things that need to be done and helping also to be in the community. And after 3 years, I finished school. I have been serving, and Pastor Mel was giving me big psalm because I started to be a youth pastor. So I started speaking psalm on adult services. Pastor Mel was like a father. Having someone focus on you to disciple you, that's very important because you can get more, but also it's more intentional on you to see what you need and how it can make you better. What's filled me the most being a pastor is to be with the people and teach them. My heart is to see every single person receiving Jesus and starting to experience the really joy. Because most people, especially in our culture, the people that feel like happiness is come about the things, about when they have a good life, when they have a food. But I think that it's very important for them to switch their thinking and start understanding that the happiness is all come about Jesus. So when we have Jesus, we experience that happiness. That joy is continual. My prayer actually is to see big change on CD, everyone be able to receive Jesus and everyone to be connect with the church and also to connect with their calling.
Every story, big and small, completes the picture. God's masterpiece. His goodness awakened in us. His strength renewed in us. His grace freely given to us leaves a legacy for generations to come. To know Jesus, piece by piece, together.
I believe that the mission of the church has not to be to reach many. The purpose has to be to reach the one, because through the one you reach many.
You know, if you want to leave a legacy, it's paying attention to all this and doing things for other people. Seriously paying attention to them.
We need to put ourselves in our position and let God to be in His positions. Do our part, knowing that God is going to do His part.
The church becomes really powerful like that in a good way, and it does position itself to shift people to doing stuff and being a light in whatever environment that they're in.
So my legacy, I think, I just want to go away living this world better than I found it. That's my legacy for the future, and I think that should be the legacy of each son of God.
That's the main prayer. I want everything that you want me to do on this planet while I'm here for however long it is, for me to be able to do it and me to be able to recognize it and to stay on His path.
It doesn't matter where you've been, it doesn't matter what we have, what we do, but the most important is where you are now.
We are not here for ourselves. We are here to serve the Lord. And we should remember this every time in our life. We should serve Him humble and obedience. That's the only thing we have to do.